We'll touch on that a little bit later, but it's really wonderful to have all of you on board. Let's dive right in. Can you see the change here? Can you see this?
Yes, yes.
Cool. So wonderful.
Yeah.
So what we'll do today is basically do a quick introduction. We want to know who's in the room and what brought you here, so we can get to know each other a little bit. The second thing that we want to do is look at the bigger picture, rethinking the way we work and how can we accomplish that, because many of us are speaking about that and we're wishing for that to happen. But how can we actually accomplish this step by step, and basically also taking a look at our methodology that we will use going forward here in this program. The third thing that we want to do is to outline the process and the next steps for this 3 months process that we'll be going through. What are the elements that we'll be touching on, and what is the process that we'll use to do that? And lastly, there's going to be Q&A. So please, if you have any questions, just put them in the chat box and we can pick them up later, or just collect them for yourself and we'll have an open question and answer session before we check out here. Cool. To get started, let's just go down the list with your name we have here, but your name, where you live, your affiliation, and also what you would like to get out of this program. Your bigger desire for this program. So let's just go down the list from the top.
We have a telephone number, 919, and
yes.
I just unmuted you. I muted everybody, and I'll help you a bit on the technical side. Yeah. So who's behind that telephone number, 911?
Hi, it's Christine.
Hi, Christine.
Usually it's just, hi, nice to speak with you again.
Yes, same here. I'll just put your name in.
Okay, and it's showing me my name. I'm not sure, but it looks different than it did last time, so I'm not sure what I did wrong. But anyway, hello everyone. My name is Christine Rozier, and I had the pleasure of attending Module 3 a few months ago when we participated in online Module 3, and I'm not necessarily going in order, so I'm here to learn and understand Module 1 and all of the elements of it. I have been in transitioning over this last few months from a leadership position in the corporate world to going into my own consulting, leadership consulting. So I'm very excited about this. I'm very excited about this curriculum and what it stands for, and glad to be a part of the group. Nice to meet everyone.
Great.
Thanks, Christine. Great to have you back. Carmen, do you want to go next? You're still muted.
Okay. Do you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Fine. Well, I'm Carmen from Germany. I'm living near Frankfurt. I have my own business in Frankfurt itself, which I started 10 years ago. I'm working as a management coach and a career consultant. And so I'm really interested in ending my, let's put it like this, my view on management, on people, on myself. And as Clemens know, it took me quite a while to sign in, but now I'm really happy that I took this decision, and I'm really curious what I'm going to experience. I'm very open to learn a lot and to hear a lot.
Great. Thanks, Carmen.
Yeah, Carmen. Thanks.
Jess, do you want to go next?
Sure. Good morning, everyone from San Francisco. I'm Jess Peabody. I am the Community Director for Conscious Capitalism International. And so many things I'm excited to get out of this program. I come from the conscious leadership development world before I was here with Conscious Capitalism. So just really excited to see the content and experience it on the user side, as we like to say in the Bay Area. And this is an exploration as well for a potential partnership with the Conscious Business Institute. So I'm just so happy to be here and really grateful for the opportunity.
Great. Thanks, Jess. Gabriel.
All right. Am I unmuted there?
Yes.
Yes, now you are. Sorry, I'm trying to help you out, and sometimes that gets a bit confusing.
No problem. So I recently moved to Lyon, France with my wife, and we've been here for about 5 months now. I'm currently teaching a fourth-year management class to a group of Russian, Senegalese, French, and Tunisian students in an international program. And looking for work in my field of coaching and organization development. I specialize in helping leaders reframe the way they understand and deal with resistance to change in their organizations. And really excited about this program, to be part of a group of like-minded practitioners, and open and very curious.
Great.
Right.
Great to have you. Jane, does your microphone work? You put it in the box that it doesn't work. Oh. Maybe not, huh? Let's jump over you.
Okay, Jane put her introduction into the chat box.
Oh, okay. So great.
Yes.
You can pick it up there. Thanks, Jane.
Yeah.
Who's next? Kirsten.
Good morning. My name is Kirsten Liegman. I live out here in Berthoud, Colorado, which is not too far away from Boulder, sort of in the Boulder-Denver triangle. And this is my third module now with Peter and Clemens, which is very exciting. We're kind of going off the normal route, but really this module feels most aligned aligned with what I have been doing already. This inner work, my partner and I are teaching these kinds of courses, and I'm also a conscious business coach. And so I want to learn how you guys approach this idea of inner consciousness, and also to learn your language, because I am hoping to become an ambassador for the Conscious Business Institute. I'm very excited to be here, and really what my goal in life is to create the New Humanity movement. And so we need New Humanity businesses, and we need New Humanity education. And so, this is one of the ways in which we will be able to express that, so that we can create a new way of living on Earth, which we desperately need. So.
Yep, I'm with you.
I almost started with, I believe that, and then I stopped myself. I'm like, no, I practiced that in this conference that I was in the last 3 days, and I stopped myself, so I need to stop doing that.
Yeah. Thanks.
That's an inside one from our module 3, the purpose statement.
Michael.
Hi, my name is, I'll put on the video here. Internet's going on and off here, but hi all, I'm calling from Stockholm in Sweden, and I knew, I've seen Peter through the humanities program that I've gone through, and very interested in seeing how we can develop other business models with this integral approach also. So very, very looking forward to this.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you. Welcome. And Moshe, are you there?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
So I've been, it's my first module, and been working with teaching, coaching business conscious for the last year or more, a little bit more than a year. And very much with Christine about very excited to make a change and use the platform and meet other people that like thinking the same. And I'm excited to make a difference with this program and to influence a big difference and change through that in the world.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And you're in Israel, right?
Yeah, I'm from Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
Cool.
Thanks.
Wonderful to have you. We're missing a couple of people here that were not able to come, or maybe they'll still come on, but we'll keep checking in here. Cool. Thanks for the introduction. So let's get started. Let's move into where we are and what we want to create with this. Let me give you a little bit of a background so we have the same context here. Some of you have already seen some of these slides because from the webinar or from some other presentations. But what we've basically realized many, many years ago is that our traditional approaches to leadership and to doing business are really reaching a limit. Personally, I've experienced that in probably around 2000 when I was investing in organizations and always saw that, first of all, most people were disengaged in the organizations that we invested in. And I thought, oh my God, if we could just tap into the potential that is laying dormant in those organizations, we would reach a completely different level of success, which obviously also translated into our investments. And secondly, I found it very sad that most people are really disengaged, which is really the second point here, that they're very unhappy with their work. And if they're just asking this looming question, isn't there a better way to work? And if there was, I would do it right away. But we got to suck it up. We don't really know what that path is. So I saw also that if we always grow, that something in a system needs to be balanced at ours. And that to me was nature. So it was clear to me that the way we are running organizations is going to really hit a wall in our natural environment. So from all of this, I realized that if we continue on this path, we are reaching a limit, we're hitting a wall. We have to find a different way of conducting business. And being in organizations as a venture capitalist for many years, what I always saw that business is only about management. It's not about business. It's not about sales. It's not about business development or products. In the end, it always comes down to people. So if we want to change something, we have to change people, which oftentimes is not the case in our world, that we tackle it at that level. The third thing that we saw is that our world is run on what we'll discover in this model in much more depth is what we call the model of dominance and subservience. This is a model where we have to dominate a scarce resource in order to get somewhere. May it be money, or may it be power, or may it be love, or something that we think we need and there's not enough of. And we have a choice either to become dominant and kind of dominate that resource, although we have to become subservient to a dominator. And this dynamic is playing out all across our world, in governments, in businesses, and even in our personal relationship oftentimes. This is a model that's based on scarcity and on fear. And when there's fear, that cannot be trust, there cannot be flow. So if we want to step into the flow as individuals, or if we want to create an organization that is more sustainable, we have to look at this kind of model of behavior, how we are tackling this. Big topic that we'll address during this seminar. And lastly, our world is facing far-reaching changes. If you look at the IBM CEO studies, it's saying that change is going to be the new normal, that there's going to be constant disruptions. Companies are freaking out whether they're going to be Ubered. They're dealing with increasing complexity and change, and obviously increasing speed through digitalization, and information overload is coming their way. When we speak to organizations, the topic of digitalization is very much at their forefront. And when we ask what that really is for them, oftentimes they just shrug their shoulders and try to explain it. But it is so complex and kind of fuzzy that they don't really know what it means in the end. So digitalization is going to change everything. And the question is, how do we deal with that as leaders and as organizations as a whole? And then we have obviously the social transformation, globalization, the generational changes, and the huge migration issues which we're facing in Europe a lot, and probably also in other parts of the world in the future. And then the environmental issues that we're coming up on top of that. If you look at this chart here, you can see the increase of global natural disasters up to 2009. And it's going up after that. Just think of the recent storms that we've had here in the United States. So, which means that most of us are increasingly faced with more challenges, more complexity, higher speed, which increases the level of emotionality and the level of fear in organizations. If we have to deal with storms, we cannot focus on business. If we have to deal with fear of losing our job or higher complexity, our energy is taken away from focusing on business. So basically fear is increasing and knee-jerk reactions are increasing. And as leaders, our job is more and more to manage emotions, to manage these sentiments, to manage this complexity rather than just business. And most leaders have not been educated to do that. So when we look at the challenges that we are confronted as a leader in this next slide here, what used to be the case is that this top bubble here, managing business and finance, was to be the name of the game. But now if we talk to leaders, we suddenly have this huge amount of other challenges that are coming their way, dealing with the global mindset, increasing speed, digitalization, natural disaster, changing values, and everything that you see here in these bubbles. So when we look at leaders, we really see them as the warriors, the samurais of this century, because they're literally standing on the mat and being attacked from all kinds of sides. And as a samurai, you either run or you learn how to deal with that. But if you're not in your own balance, if you're not in your own center, then good luck dealing with these changes. So Harvard Business Review states that none of us have been here before, that we're confronted with a completely new set of challenges and nobody of us has been here before. So all of us are facing the same dilemma. That's basically the bad news that we see that when we talk to organizations. There's a flip side, because there are some organizations who are thriving in this world. And I just want to pick out a few to give you an idea of what it might be that lets them thrive. How are these organizations different? The first one I want to mention is Richard Branson himself, actually. Because if we're faced with increasing change, increasing complexity, increasing workload, for example, how come that he is able to run 380 companies at the same time if we are freaking out with our one job? How's he managing to do that? And the way he does it is really what it says here is to inspire people and to bring out the best in them. So when he builds Virgin Atlantic, or Virgin US, for example, what he does, he comes in and he helps build the culture, but he finds the best people in order to build the organization. So culture and how we work together is the core ingredient for him to make that work. And as Drucker says, culture eats strategy for breakfast. So we'll focus a little bit on how to build this culture. The second example I would like to give you is Zappos, which most of us are familiar with, the shoe company. Zappos grew, as you can see here, from 1 million to 1 billion in 9 years. So they had a very fast growth, got acquired by Amazon. But when Tony Hsieh came into this company I think in the late 90s as an investor and then also as a CEO, he built a culture based on 10 core values. And these 10 core values, he did not dictate to the team. He basically had his entire team of 350 people come up with these joint values. He basically asked his team, how do you want to run your organization? And he became a steward to these 10 core values. So Zappos has built a culture that people from all over the world, whether it's from Siemens or Johnson & Johnson or Philips or most big companies, are visiting with Zappos to understand how these people were able to build a culture where people feel, this is not a company, this is my family here. This is where I want to give everything. On the top right, there's a little photo of how the offices look, so you can get a feel of the mojo and energy that's happening in that company. So the question is that we're also addressing, what is necessary in order to build a culture that is that intriguing, where people actually want to work, where they want to give their best? That's the big cornerstone question that we have here. Third example is Patagonia. Patagonia, the outdoors clothing manufacturer, is actually one of my favorite companies because they are so consistent in what they're doing and so are walking their path in this different way. I don't believe they are so very much focused on people, so maybe there's some catch up to do, but they're using the business, as you can see here in their statement, to cause no unnecessary harm and to use business to implement solutions to the environmental crisis. In the 90s, they had a big issue where they said, we are running out of steam here. I'm not sure whether we keep Patagonia alive. They lost their purpose. They had a board meeting where they discussed what they wanted to do and said, Patagonia's CEO, Ivan Chouinard, said, either we're going to close down the company or we'll go down to Patagonia and find a new purpose for the organization. That was the option. So the team went down there and decided not to come back from Patagonia until they had a decision to do either of those two things. And they came up with this mission statement. And if you have had a chance to visit with Patagonia in Ventura or some of their offices, you will see that to use business to implement solutions to the environmental crisis is at the core of everything they do. Even in critical situations where they're faced with financial issues, for example. So much that they're able to put out this ad here, which they put up in the New York Times, full-page ad, "Don't buy this jacket." And still they're attracting a loyal following of customers because people are not buying a jacket, but they're buying a common purpose. And the last example I would like to give you is Tom's Shoes, which probably most of you are familiar with as well. If you're not, Tom's Shoes is a company based in Los Angeles, founded by this guy here, Blake McCuskey. And he was running a software company and got tired of it. And he said, you know, I need to take a break. I want to go to Argentina, take some time off. And he realized that in third world countries like Argentina in some places, but also in many other third world countries around the world, children are running around barefoot, which is not only a big health issue because many of the diseases are contained through the feet, but also that many schools don't allow children to go to school if they don't wear shoes. So many children are left of where they are because they don't own shoes. Of course, there are nonprofits from around the world who donate shoes, but he says this is not a sustainable model because little Jorge or somebody here is growing out of his shoes within 6 months, so we need to find a different model. What he came up with is a simple business model, which most of you are familiar with. It's called 1 for 1. So for every pair of shoes we buy, they donate 1 pair of shoes to a child in need. Over the years, they've donated over 70 million pairs of shoes. The company skyrocketed when the news found out when they got founded. And if you look at their Facebook page, you can find that 3.9 million like it on Facebook. If you compare that to a large corporation, it would be probably 65% of the world's population if you put it into that perspective. The interesting thing about Tom's Shoes, I think, is that there's been a movement created around Tom's Shoes, which is called One Day Without. And it is a movement where for one day, people are walking without shoes to create awareness for the impact a pair of shoes can have in a child's life. And this movement is all across the world, in Korea, in Japan, in Netherlands, at Microsoft, at UPS, people are running around without shoes for one day, in schools, etc., etc. The interesting thing is that this movement has not been founded by the company, but by university students, independent of the organizations. So it gives us an example that we can run organizations in a different way, where it's not the typical way of we make some money and then we give something back, maybe philanthropic approach, but where we serving other people is part of the business model. And actually not just part of the business model, but part of helping the company thrive. The consequences of that with this last bullet here is that it's, first of all, we have to realize that our constituency that we're serving as businesses is oftentimes, in most cases, changing. It's millennials who want to have a purpose, who want to associate with an organization that has a purpose. But secondly, also, as I mentioned before, Tom's is not selling shoes, they're selling a common purpose. And that's what people are usually very willing to pay more for than for a normal pair of shoes. So these are just a few examples of how companies can look and what is maybe needed in order to build companies in a different way. Are they more successful? If you look at these studies, in this case by the Firms of Endearment Research, which is done by Rush Sodia, which is Conscious Capitalism Group, he found that the stakeholder engagement firms, which are purpose-driven companies who have a common purpose, outperform the S&P index over a period of 10 years by a factor of 8 to 1. Where these more purpose-driven companies grew by 1,024%, the S&P index grew by 160%. That is staggering. Quite frankly, I'm not quite sure whether this research is fully correct, because there are different sizes of companies, different stages of companies. But whenever you look at any research, Ernst & Young has done some studies about purpose, you will find that purpose-driven companies outperform the rest. So there's actually money in this approach to business. To us, a no-brainer, but it's something that companies like to hear, obviously. So the question is this: how can we build these organizations? What differentiates a traditional organization from one of these inspiring organizations? This comes to our approach now, which is kind of similar to the 4-quadrant approach that Ken Wilber has. This came to me in a meditation about 12 years ago when I asked what is really the difference between traditional organizations and inspiring organizations. If you look at a traditional organization, you will see that they focus on this bottom right quadrant, which is to create profits and margins. If you look at an inspiring organizations, those organizations that we all would love to work for, they focus on fulfilling all 4 of these quadrants. Let me take you through these 4 quadrants real quick so you understand. Imagine yourself working in an organization that fulfills these 4 quadrants. The first quadrant, the top left one here, is where you can be fully authentic, where you can show up as who you truly are without wearing a mask, without pretending to be somebody else, where you can express your gifts and talents, and where you're being rewarded for that. Full authentic expression. On the top right corner, if you can work together with a team that you would like to share a vacation with, maybe, where you feel a strong sense of connection, where you can be in true collaboration rather than competition. Imagine that. On the bottom left corner, if you pursue a common purpose with your team, because as humans, we all want to make a difference. If there's a strong purpose in the organization, as we outlined with the previous companies as an example. And then the bottom right, if we are being fulfilled financially, if we actually create financial well-being or sustainability for ourselves or for the organization. You will find that if these 4 quadrants are fulfilled, there's really no reason why you need to leave or would want to leave the organization. Because it's not about business, it's about human behavior. As humans, we all want to express ourselves authentically. Our authenticity wants to be expressed. We all want to connect genuinely to others, the sense of connection that we all need as humans. We all want to make a difference, and we all want to be sustained financially. So if you look at your life, maybe at your relationship with your spouse or with any of your loved ones, you will find that these 4 quadrants need to be fulfilled as well. Let's say I'm connected to my wife. I definitely want to be myself. I don't want to wear a mask. I want to feel that sense of connection to her. Top right, I want to have a common purpose. A common pathway, maybe build a family together or do something, build a house together, and we want to be financially sustained. If you look at governments, if you look at schools, if you look at any part of life, you will find that these 4 quadrants are really a new operating system of how we could run organizations, businesses, relationships, if we can fulfill these 4 quadrants. This last quadrant is the, maybe pull this up here so you can see it, is the leadership quadrant. That's this leadership circle that is necessary in order to build organizations that way. So the question is, what kind of leader do we need to build in order to have these 4 quadrants established and also maintained as there are challenges occurring, for example? So our approach at the Conscious Business Institute is to provide a step-by-step pathway to becoming a conscious organization. Many people speak about changing the way to do business. How do we deal with these changes, these transitions that are ahead of us? What we're trying to provide to organizations with this approach is a step-by-step approach that will actually get them there. So what we've created is a module, a learning module for each of these quadrants. And this is obviously module 1 that we're starting with, which is focusing on the individual. Why do we call it module 1? Why do we start with module 1? Because in the end, who we are determines everything what we do. If we engage in a relationship, if I'm in a relationship with you and I think not positively of you, I think you're a schmuck, everything that I say, everything that I do, my entire behaviors will be tainted by this pair of glasses that I'm wearing, by my individual being level, by my individual consciousness. If I would like to change that relationship, I can try to talk differently. I can try to give you gifts. If I still think that you're schmuck, it's not going to change very much. So we need to start with ourselves, with our own beliefs, with our own consciousness if we want to change that relationship. We need to start with our consciousness if we want to change businesses. We need to start with the individual leader, their authenticity, and where they fall out of their authenticity if we want to transform organizations. This is oftentimes a very untypical approach because many of the leaders are asking, so what can we do now differently? What can we do differently now? And we always have to keep them a little bit back and say, you know, if we change your being level, then everything that we'll do will come as a ripple effect and will change as a ripple effect. That's why we believe it is essential to start with the individual if we really want to create lasting change. So to give you an overview of Module 1, what we'll be doing here is basically what we will do is we will go through 6 chapters during the next 3 months. The first chapter is really to understand that our model of success, it's what's creating our suffering in the world. Let me repeat that. Our model of success is creating our suffering. We are following a model of success that is not designed to make us happy. So that's what's going to be in chapter 1. If we want to break away from this model, what is the alternative model that we can pursue? What is the alternative model of success that actually can create happiness and well-being for everyone? At the end of this model, this first chapter, we'll do a personality test, which we'll exchange with you as part of that chapter. This is actually the second part flows into that. Understanding your authentic power is to look at this personality test and also to go through some other personality tests, your personal magic, as we call it. What is your unique gift that you are here to express, for example? How do you need to make decisions in order to stay in your authentic power? What are your deepest drivers that get you out of bed in the morning? If they are fulfilled, you get up like this. If they're not fulfilled, you get up like that. So you will understand as part of these first chapters who you are here to be during this lifetime. Yeah, and how you can express it in your work world and in your personal work to strengthen that. This first part, these first 3 chapters close with your purpose, where you come up with a purpose statement where you say, this is what I want to express during my lifetime here. This is my ta-ta, my big, auspicious, hairy goal, my purpose. Once we are there, we need to look at the flip side. We need to look at the flip side to see what keeps us away from living our authentic power, as we call it, which is the model of dominance and subservience. Surprise, there it is again. The model of dominance and subservience is the reason for all of our struggle and stress in life. So to understand how this model works in our own life, in our businesses, in our governments, in our world at large, is really an eye-opening experience. That's chapter 4. Chapter 5 is that to take it on a personal level, then to see which decisions have we made about life and which repeated behavior have we adopted that keeps us from being in the flow. What's basically our typical fear-based behavior that we exhibit all over again and thereby oftentimes recreate the same circumstances in our life. So we basically open up the black box of our behaviors. And lastly, chapter 6 concludes it, how we can deal with this changing behavior. How can we change our habits? How can we change with our, what we call out of power situations, so that we can maintain our authentic power even in challenging situations. That's basically the overview of this first module. Clemens, I'm going to you now to say a few words about this.
I kind of expected that. Thanks, Peter. So basically, I would like to give you another image or another idea on this journey that we are on, and I really want to create it to let you think about it as a journey. And a journey always has a starting point. Then it has a movement, which is this arc that you can see here. And then you have on the other side the new you, or where you will be in a couple of weeks, a couple of months. And to go on a journey, to go on this movement, change always, if it's really a transformative change, there is movement. If it's just putting on new clothes, there's not a lot of movement, but that's not a big change. But to go through that, you need an intention. And the intention is what will give you direction. And somewhere along that journey, there will be a point where you will let go of something old so that you can really go into the new. And there will also be something that you could say there's a point of no return. So where you can't go back to the old anymore, the old way of thinking, the old way of doing things. Or you will go for some time, but you will feel, that doesn't fit anymore. And so these are things on this arch, on these points on that journey. And Peter, I haven't seen this presentation before, so I'm not sure whether we have the reflection coming directly afterwards.
Yes, we do.
Perfect. We were quite busy, as you can see, in the last weeks. I was asking for that reflection because what we would like to do, and we haven't done that last time we did this first webinar for this program. Now we would like to have some breakout groups, and I will pair you up with each other. And one person is going to talk and the other person is going to listen. And so the job of the person that is listening is just really to be present and to listen and to see what is going on inside yourself. Are you trying to comment or not? But just to be there for the other person so that the other person has somebody the other person can talk to, and the talker is the one who is going to answer these questions. And anything that comes up at that moment is permitted. There's no judging in that. The invitation is that you really just, whatever comes up to these questions is that you give that, put that in. You will have 3 minutes each, and we will send you a short message after 2.5 minutes that in 30 seconds you will switch. And then the talker becomes the listener and the other way around. We will do this exercise in the future webinars at certain points because we want to have some interaction in there. That's why I'm giving it a bit more of an explanation right here.
Yeah, so in a second you'll get a little prompt to enter a room. So you have your breakout, and I'm just going to read these questions in case somebody is not on the presentation here. The first thing is basically, what is your authentic power now? How would you describe your authentic power now? And how did you get to this stage of authentic power? What were the stepping stones for you to get where you are? The main ones that you could call for. And if you look at the new you that you're looking for, just come up with where do you want to be ideally? What do you want to get out of this course ideally? Or maybe even further out, where do you want to be in terms of the quote unquote new you? Okay. Should we dive in, Clemens?
Yeah, just give me a very short moment. I'm setting up the breakout groups. Jane doesn't have the microphone working, so my invitation is that you do it for yourself, or you just type it into the chat, either as a private message to Peter or myself, or just like that, so that you really see your starting point and your intention in that. And Christine, I have 2 Christines here. I don't know which one it is, so I'll keep you in the main room, and my invitation is that you use us as your counterparty. Okay. That is the technical side on that. So I'll start the breakout sessions now. Please confirm to move into those.
Let's just invite you to join.
And I need to start the timer.
Moshe, do you have a problem there? There we go.
No, you went as well. Okay.
Jane, you can just listen in here, huh? If you want to.
Yes.
Yes. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Christine?
Hi.
Yes.
Okay.
Hi.
Hello there.
Hello.
So, again, nice to be back. I for the questions, excuse me, my authentic power, I feel, is the ability to have intuitively developed the a lot of these skills and a leadership role and managed teams that were very effective and very collaborative. The way that I feel like I was able to do that and how I actually got there is I've done a lot of this work over the years on myself. So I feel, while I love the step-by-step approach that y'all have developed and the language that you use, I've done a lot of this work with it. I would say the language isn't the same, but the self-actualization part is the same. So, and then where I want to be is I want to be able to teach that to others and to empower other leaders to adopt. I think it takes a lot of courage to look inside and understand weak points, strengths, etc., and how to change. I don't think people necessarily understand how to change, even if they want to change. So that's my intention.
There's a question that pops up for me.
Give Christine a bit of a moment, and then if she's not talking anymore, you can ask a question.
Sure.
So that's really it. That's where I feel like my power is, and then if I can grow that into a place where, or as I grow that into a place where I can share and teach others, that's really my goal.
Peter, ask your question.
Where do you want to be when you say you want to teach others? We talked about that. I love it. Do you have a sense of your beingness when you do that? What's the core from where it comes from?
It comes from the first thing that comes to my mind is that servant leadership. So I'll tell you where I think everything in my life comes from. I feel as though my job every day is to get up and to move that, I'm going to say lower self or false self out of the way so that a more spiritual or divine self can live through me. And that is really a servant leader. That is a servant purpose. So I think that it comes from that place. It comes from that consciousness of really wanting to make changes that keep people connected to the sense of who they really are. Without getting into a bunch of controversial language around spirituality or religion or whatever, might offer conflict to others, but in a way that it takes people to their core and the sense of who they really are, and maybe for the first time letting them experience the power that's within them. And how our behaviors are the very thing that keep, so much of the time, are the very thing that keep us from understanding that authentic power. It's these behaviors we adopt over our lifetime as a result of everything.
The habits.
The habits, yes.
Great.
That we blame on external things that are not external.
The story.
Yes, exactly. Because it takes a lot of courage to understand how much power we really have.
Great. Thank you. I just saw that Jane also wrote something here. Maybe.
Okay.
Just so we read it and hear it.
I don't see it. Did she write it to you?
Yeah, Jane, it's, okay. My authentic power to perceive a need in a community, pair it with a solution and bring it to a step-by-step process for implementation. Can't wait to see you do that, Jane. The new you is to inject light and energy, empowerment and sustainability of what is being created, people and product.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to hear more about that. I just saw that. Are you there, Ify? Can you hear us? It's another participant. So that,
yeah.
Okay.
Ify, are you there? Maybe in case you can't speak, we are just doing an exercise at the moment where there's two people exchanging ideas about questions we posted.
Yeah.
That's going to be another 20, 30 seconds, and then we are going back into the main room and continuing with our webinar. And we are happy to have you on here.
Mm-hmm.
But as I'm seeing, it looks like there is no sound yet. There's only video.
For Jane, I would have the same question. What would your core, your beingness be if you did that? Inject light, energy, empowerment, sustainability of what's being created, people and product. What is your nucleus? But we'll come back into the main room now and continue. Thank you, both of you, Jane and Christine.
Yeah, thank you. I recalled the people now to the main room already.
Mm-hmm.
So we have Kirsten and Moshe are deep into discussions, I guess.
Yeah.
Now they're coming back. Perfect.
Okay, wonderful. I think we're all back. Can we mute again so we don't hear the background noise?
Yeah. Okay. Peter, you are muted again.
All right. Thank you. So there was a little bit of a share. We'll do more of that and you'll have much more time to exchange. But I hope it was helpful. Let's move on. Let's take a look at the process and the next steps in this program. What are we actually going to do here and how are we going to structure it? Basically, what this program entails is 4 elements. The first element, which you will all receive in an email that we'll send afterwards, is the online learning program. So you receive access to our online learning platform and to Module 1, Chapter 1. And every 2 weeks, we'll have you go through one chapter, which is approximately 8 to 10 short videos, reflections, and exercises. The time that we expect, it's probably 45 to 90 minutes per chapter. Sometimes a little shorter, sometimes it goes up to 90 minutes. After each chapter, what we'll do is a webinar, just like this one, to deepen the material, to answer questions, to give some examples, etc. Basically, to integrate the material into your day-to-day life and make it more concrete. We will record those webinars, but as for the group, as a respect of the group, but also for yourself, we really encourage you to be present, to make it more lively for yourself as well. The third element that we have is a self-guided discussion groups. This is where we'll send you a form, a guided form with questions that you will take into your discussion group, which we will assign to you after this webinar, 3 to 5 participants, and go through these questions and make it real in your own world, what you've looked at in the webinar. This is very rich because you're able to exchange on a much deeper level with your peers in the group here. We usually allocate about an hour for the discussion group, and we ask that you do that before the next webinar, a day before or something. And the last part, which is optional, which I'll pass on to you, Clemens, if you would like to explain that.
Sure. It's a bit similar to what you just did. It's called dyadic interviews. Actually, with a Y instead of an I. And it's this exercise where one person, you will get one question, and you can discuss it daily or 4 out of 7 days or 5 out of 7 days, and you will partner with one person. And then one person is talking about her or his experience that day, answering that question, and the other person is going to listen. And then after 3 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever you feel reasonable, you will switch, and the one person becomes the listener, and the other person is talking about his or her experience and answer to that question. And the purpose is so that we learn to listen in a different way, but we can also learn to express what is there from a deeper part of ourselves. And by doing that with one person a couple of days after each other, you get to know different shades of each other. And that gives quite a few insights for yourself and in the relationship to the other person.
Mm-hmm. So this is obviously a bit of a time commitment. It's only 5 minutes per day, but it's more of a commitment. So we'll leave it optional to you if you would like to participate. If you want to, just drop us an email and we'll pair you up with somebody else, or you'll choose somebody and you can call them up as well if you would like to do that. One thing I just saw that Evie has joined. I'm not sure whether you're there and you can hear us, Evie. Do you want to say hi real quick?
Very well.
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to give you a chance
Can
to
you
quickly
hear me?
introduce yourself. Yes, we can hear you. So the group knows you're there and where you're
Okay.
from and how came you participated?
Okay. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. I think I got the Central European time mixed up, either that or the clock went back today, because we should be on the same time and it's just 6:20 at my end. And I thought it was exactly the same time. So apologies for joining in late. My name is Ifiu Gochukwu, and I'm based in Nigeria and Cape Town. And I am a lawyer by profession, but now a practicing business coach. And I also do coach training and supervision as well. So I don't want to hold up the session. Please carry on. Thank you, Peter.
Yeah, sorry about the mix up with the times. We always have to be paying attention to that a little bit more, I guess. But good to have you.
Thank you.
Okay, so 4 elements of this course. What we'll do after this webinar, which we'll conclude in a little bit, is basically you will receive an email from us with all this lined out to you, so you don't need to write anything down. Access to chapter 1, you'll get an assignment to which discussion group you can participate with according to time zones and regions a little bit, so it's easier to connect. If you would like to really join a different discussion group, please let us know. We don't want to do too many changes because it can get a little fuzzy. But if you really feel strongly about changing a discussion group, please let us know. You will receive the guideline, the document for the discussion group, and including ways to contact each other. And I will also write into the email that we ask the first person in the discussion group to initiate the first round of contacts, so that somebody is in charge to initiate those contacts. Invitation to the check-ins, and then basically an outline what to do by when, invitation to the webinars, and a recording link to this webinar in case you've missed some of this. It'll all be in an email in one place, so you have it for yourself. If you have any questions around this process, about this program, etc., please use this email down here, ambassadors@consciousbusinessinstitute.com. It'll be forwarded to both Clemens and myself. Okay. Do you have any questions about what we've talked about today, the introduction, the breakout groups, any thoughts about the process? I see Kirsten's head shaking. Okay, thumbs up. All right, that basically concludes it for today if you don't have any questions. We really look forward to this process with you. We hope you really, really enjoy the course. And again, if you have any thoughts, any questions, any suggestions, please don't hesitate to contact us. We're here for you. What we'd like to do is just do a quick checkout. How am I leaving this webinar? So we can have a conclusion here. Let's go from the bottom up, maybe. Christine. Didn't you start as well?
Hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
There we are. Hello. So I'm leaving this webinar delighted and ready to move forward in Module 1, and I look forward to the next time we meet and all that I'll learn between now and then. All
right. Thank you. Evie, do you want to wait on the phone, or we can chat a little later because you'll be up next? Do you want to check out real quick, although you didn't barely check in?
Well, just, I guess I didn't check in, but just to say hello to everyone, and I look forward to connecting more as we move through the module. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Moshe. Moshe? You're muted.
I'm unmuting him. Oops.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, like a church.
Okay, so it was great and enlightening and explainable, and yeah, I'm looking forward to hear more and to deep into it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Michael?
Yes. Understand this this part of the first part, the module 1 and so on, concentrating a lot on the personal part. Will there afterwards be a bit about how to deal with people that are, you know, a bit different or close-minded in organizations, or will that develop as is, or?
Yes, we will definitely cover how we use this in corporations, because it's not straightforward to go on the personal level that much. We will also discuss how we deal with people that are close-minded when we offer this to organizations, but also during the process of it. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
And please keep the question alive and bring it if we didn't address it properly.
All right. Thanks.
Okay. Who's next? Yes.
Kristen.
Oh, okay.
Kristen, sorry, not Jess, go for it.
Okay. Yeah, I leave this meeting really excited, grounded, but excited. I just feel so grateful to be part of, you know, this new world that we're creating and shifting into something more magnificent than how humanity has been, and just to be part of this and learning about it and deepening our own understanding, our own awareness, and then helping others do that is you know, brings me so much joy and is my purpose and my passion, and I'm just grateful to be here.
Great, thank you.
Now it's Jess.
Thank you, Kirsten. Really enthused because I was ready to check out, but just
You're breaking up a little bit.
Between your intention and ours, and just excited about the possibilities. So thank you again for allowing me to be here.
Yeah, thanks, Jess. Jane, your microphone doesn't work. She says motivated and a bit uncomfortable in a good way, challenged to do inner work and feel the thunder of change coming forward. Exciting. Thanks, Jane.
Gabriel, next, yeah.
Feeling delighted and excited and grateful also. Yeah, also curious and inspired.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
And Carmen.
Well, I like what I experienced today. I'm really curious what will happen during the whole webinar. What I really liked is also that it is really interactive, and that we have the possibility to even exchange for some minutes our views and to talk. And well, so let's see what is coming out of it. I thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you, guys. I have a couple of housekeeping things that I would like to mention before closing this. The first thing is we'll also open up a Facebook group so we can exchange information and thoughts and ideas, and have you connect within the entire group. So expect an invitation for that. And the second thing is, since we are a small group, we would like to extend an invitation to invite a friend of yours if you feel it would be helpful. I will include that in an email that we'll offer it at a very reduced price, but sometimes it's just better to have somebody join us in this group. And since we have a little space in this webinar and we don't have so many people as usual, I would like to extend that invitation to you. I'll include it in the webinar, so if you're interested in that, just let us know then. And other than that, I thank you very much. I hope you have a wonderful day or evening wherever you are, and I look forward to seeing you again in 2 weeks. And Clemens?
Yes, so I'm I, and I'm very happy to have this group here. Thanks for your presence and for your participation. And if anything comes up in the meantime, just send us an email.
All right.
See you in 2 weeks. Enjoy your time in the meantime with all the content and the discussions you will have.
Take care,
Bye.
everybody. Talk to you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.